Okay, welcome to Clown World. This week I'm sitting down with Jonathan Kogan, who I used to do headliners with, and we're going to talk about Robert Jenrick being accused of racism. We're going to talk about the rise of the Green Party and that party political broadcast they put out that looks a lot like a really bad John Lewis Christmas advert. We're going to talk about anti-Israel protesters and Lenny Henry calling for reparations. And we're going to talk about some other stuff as well. And in fact, Jonathan, you wanted to talk about your weight gain. You said you put on weight.
Well, Leo actually specifically said, please don't mention how fat I've got. But thank you for bringing that up. It's a real pleasure to be here, you know.
But I thought you wanted to draw attention to it. And that's why you're sitting under a cooker hood.
I'm a fat shit now.
You don't look that fat. You don't look that fat.
That's because I've got the filter on. I've got the Lizzo filter on. They say it's Ozempic, but it's not. It's strictly lies. Look at that. It's there. It's here. I'm fat. Get used to it. Accept it. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think the baggy t-shirt hides a multitude of sins. Talking about sins, so Robert Jenrick, it was the Tory party conference this week. And for the handful of people who attended, apparently Robert Jenrick made some comments at a private dinner about the state of integration in Birmingham. He said he went to Birmingham, and he said he didn't see any white faces. When he said that's terrible for integration because obviously if we properly integrate then there should be a mixture of faces, and he also said it was kind of like a slum, which I think considering he's talking about Birmingham, that's actually quite rude to slums. I mean I've seen some places in Calcutta and they don't deserve to be compared to Birmingham.
In Birmingham the other day to do a video on litter, and it was absolutely appalling. It's as close as I've come to a slum in this country. But the other thing that I noticed there was that it was one of the worst integrated places that I've ever been to. In fact, in the hour and a half that I was filming with news there, I didn't see another white face. And that's not the kind of country I want to live in. I want to live in a country where people are properly integrated. It's not about the colour of your skin or your faith. Of course it isn't. But I want people to be living alongside each other, not parallel lives. That's not the right way we want to live as a country.
I mean, I thought this was interesting because, when a Muslim or who's that guy on the BBC who complained that, when he went into the office, there weren't enough brown faces and, he felt bad. He didn't feel like he belonged there or whatever. And that's just something that should be applauded. Like, oh yeah, of course, there shouldn't be any white people. Yeah, like, man, this is
too many white faces. That's what you do. Well, first of all, congrats to Robert Jenrick for counting every single face. That's what I do whenever I go anywhere. I like to count all the races. I just like to make sure, just for my own records. You never know when it's going to come in handy. But he was that a hot mic? He wasn't speaking publicly, or he was?
I think it was like a sort of private dinner, but I mean, right. I mean, I've been at some of these. I did one in Newcastle, so I sort of hosted this private dinner, not in my house or anything, but like I was, the person bringing people up onto the stage and stuff, and you sort of, although it's not a public thing, it's not going out in Channel 4 or whatever. You sort of know that it's not that private. You know what I mean? You're not exactly whispering to somebody in a wardrobe. It's like people could record.
Okay, so he wasn't just saying it like on WhatsApp just for fun or something. He was basically making a point. But I listened to that clip, and I think the way it's been reported is much more damning than what he actually said. The message I got from that clip was that he actually wants a society where people are playing the same game. It's integrated. You have a shared culture. Yes, you can have all different ethnicities, all different races, which is what I think any reasonable person would want. He was just concerned that it looked like a very, very separate, siloed out kind of, I guess, ethnic community, which didn't look like everyone was playing the same game. So he also said it wasn't about race. It wasn't about ethnicity. It was about separate communities. So that seems to be as mild a take as any I've seen.
Yeah, I mean he's like I guess a classic sort of civic nationalist. So he's not calling for an ethno state. He's not saying everybody should be white because this was a white country. Which I know that some people do, like Steve Laws, and there's other people on the right who say no, we've got to deport anybody who's like, you know, from any sort of foreign extraction whatsoever, which is going to get incredibly difficult because,
Right.
I mean, a lot of people have sort of, you know, it's like, how mixed are they? Like my family, you know, half of my family's half Indian, so it's like, how do you deport like a half? Do they get deported? Do they get to stay? I mean, it's obviously an unworkable thing, and it's not going to be something that you can sell
That depends
to.
if you turn them in, Leo. If you report them, then they might get deported. So you're half Indian. I've never heard you do any hilarious Indian bits on stage.
I'm not half Indian. I'm actually mixed race. Like my mum's Anglo and my dad's Saxon.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm like, and that's the other thing. You know, like a lot of them. I've had some of these people on the right say to me that I should be deported to Scotland. But like my ancestors are English, so like. You know, by their standards, I'm English. You know, the whole sort of ethno-nationalism thing sort of breaks down. But yeah, it doesn't work. But on the other hand, also, you know, everybody's all like, this isn't about race at all. I mean, it kind of is a bit about race, but I don't see that as like, I don't see why that's such a problematic thing. I mean, race is a pretty good sort of cipher for cultural traits. And obviously when, you know, we look at race or whatever, like if you meet someone, you know, you're going to judge them on a whole wide variety of things that they present. You know, one of which is race. I mean, it's probably not the biggest one. You know, you're going to look at how people are dressed and how people speak. If they're dressed like a roadman and they talk like a roadman, you know, it doesn't matter if they're white or they're black.
What about like a white roadman who, you know, plays Top Secret quite a lot or something like that? What would be? I don't know.
Who are you talking about?
I don't know, mate. I don't know.
But yeah, like White Yardie or somebody like that.
Yeah, I mean, what I think. I mean, surely not to sound old-fashioned, but when you do judge people on a number of qualities when you meet them, but presumably it's how they are as a person, and all these other factors are just small things. It's how they come across, how they carry themselves, how they are, their morals, their values, and also like how hot they are, which I think is the most important thing. Like,
man, this is a bit I do in my stand-up. You know, people say, oh, you're racist because you want to stop the small boats. It's like, no, I'm sexist. Like if this was all hot Somalian babes coming over, you know, all topless like in the National Geographic magazines that I spend a lot of time in the shed with, you know, I'd be like, yeah, come on in, baby, come on in, ladies, let me pound you like you pound those yams. But it's not. It's always just kind of guys, a lot of guys who look like they want to behead me. You know what I mean? It's like all the people that I saw running about, hanging off the back of Toyota Hiluxes about 10 years ago, firing AK-47s in the air, and now they're, you know, with their TikTok phones, recording videos coming across in boats, and for some reason I'm paying for it. And it's like, I don't even want it, so why am I paying for it?
What I found kind of really, well, there's a lot of things I found disconcerting over the last couple of years, but I've seen either scrolling through TikTok or Instagram, whatever, you see religious fundamentalists, normally, you know, I would say like of the jihadi orientation, talking about the fact that they do want, and obviously this applies to a small number of people, but that they do actually want to do things like that, like violence and taking over and stuff. And I thought if I had a plan to take over, the last thing I'd ever do is talk about it. I would keep it strictly under wraps. I would do subterfuge. I would not announce it. But that's what I don't understand. What's going on?
What ethnicity are you, Jonathan? Because
I'm North Korean. So,
but you're gonna be confirming. You just confirmed a lot of far right, well, probably far left as well, conspiracy theories right there. You're like, I would use subterfuge.
If I'm pulling strings from the shadows, the last thing I'm going to, but obviously this is a double bluff because I want you to think that's what I would do. So can you not see how deep the rabbit hole goes, Leo?
Yeah.
Stop noticing. Stop noticing, everyone. Stop noticing. Am I white? Because you say I am, but then Nick Dixon said I'm not. So I don't really know. I don't know which way. Would I be?
It's an interesting one, isn't it? Because, you know, a lot of people say, you know, like all the people on the left who are protesting against Israel, they see, you know, the Jews in Israel as basically European colonizer settlers.
So many Jews in Israel are from the Arab world.
Yeah. And like so many Jews in Israel, like over 1 million had to leave Arab countries to go to Israel because they were getting basically genocided and expelled from Arab countries. And that's something that everyone on the left conveniently forgets. What's that?
That's what happens when you don't do the subterfuge. You get kicked out.
Is that why you're so keen on subterfuge now?
My word of the day calendar. I learned that today. What does it mean?
What is what?
Subterfuge means given to charity, right?
So
when we start recording, by the way. Yeah. So okay, so you're saying the people on the far left, they will see the Jews in Israel as white Europeans.
Yeah.
And then you have the people on the far right who are like, no, the Jews aren't white.
Yeah.
We got range, baby. We got range.
Yeah. You're like one of those spotlight acting roles. It's like, yeah, you can play these ethnicities.
White, not white. Yeah. Oh, man. Okay, I've got to update my my profile.
Yeah, I mean, I think for a lot of people on the left, because when they sort of defend the calls for abolishing whiteness, they defend that as saying, oh no, it's sort of behavioural. It's it's the way white people structure their society, i.e., in a successful way that flourishes and brings prosperity and advances, technology and human achievement and stuff, which is bad if you're on the left.
Yeah, because you hate Western civilization. Why do they hate Western civilization, Leo? What is it fundamentally? Their low status, resentful spirit of Cain embodying retards, or is there something else? Is Western civilization secretly bad and I don't know about it? Because I'm a big fan.
Well, I'm a big fan of Western civilization
and Eastern civilization, but
I guess if you're one of the losers, like, because the thing about Western civilization is it's a bit of a meritocracy, and if you're some sort of loser, then, a message from somebody like the Green Party, we'll get to them later, but a message from the Green Party or some other ugly mutant communist that says, oh, we're going to tear everything down and make everything fair. I mean, making things fair isn't the same as making things good. You know what I mean? They say they want to tear everything down and like redistribute the wealth so everybody has the same. I mean, that's not good. That means it always ends in like, starvation, poverty, absolute oppression, bodies being bulldozed into ditches. But you can sort of understand if you're some sort of envious, vengeful mutant gimp, then destroying all the successful people is a pretty powerful message, and that's what the left are all about. That's why they hate Jews. They hate Israel because it's successful. You know what I mean? If Israel was just like, they don't give a shit when any Arab country does any horrific things. And Israel's problem is that it's kind of tried to be a European style, Western democracy in the middle of the Middle East, in the middle of all these Arab countries.
Surrounded by kind of militias and enemies
that want to destroy it. So like, after the 6-Day War, what an Arab country would have done is just like genocide or expelling all the people from, I mean, they had Sinai, they had all, the whole of, what would be called Greater Israel. So an Arab country would have just, got rid of all those people. But instead, Israel, gives Sinai back, tries to, not do things too nastily. But because it does that, because it teases it out, if it had just all happened in 1967, nobody would give a shit now. You know what I mean? Like, nobody's crying about the Jews being expelled from Algeria or Tunisia or Morocco or anything, because they just did it. But Israel tried to, be good, tried to, like, formulate, peaceful ways forward. And as a result, they're being punished for it.
So what you're saying is they should have done more subterfuge and just not played the game.
Too much subterfuge and not enough obterfuge, whatever the opposite of subterfuge is.
Subdom. I don't know. What's that joke? This is my submissive hand. Oh, I've already fucked it. Moving on. I thought of a joke, but then I realized that I'm just not as bright. I saw Simon Evans had been on recently, and that was quite intimidating because I can't follow him. But then I saw Francis Foster was on. I was like, oh, I'll be all right. I do love Francis.
Oh, shots fired.
No, I love Francis is like my best buddy. We walk around. We live in North London, and I walk around a lot. And then every time someone, basically every time we're out, some guy will come up to him and be like, "Oh my god, I love your podcast, so great, thanks for your work." And his girlfriend will be like, "Who the fuck was that?" And so never, he gets a lot of love in the streets of North London.
That's great. Have you ever seen him get any grief? Because some people are like, oh, trigonometry, they're right-wing fascist Nazis, and it's ridiculous because like Constantine's pretty much centrist, and Francis is a total lefty.
Yeah, Francis is a lefty in the same way you're a lefty. I agree. But
I'm not a lefty.
Well, exactly. But
Oh, you've gone quiet.
I've never seen Francis get any grief in person, but he did tell me. Oh, hello, hello, hello. Check 1, 2.
I think it's
Hello,
working
hello.
now.
Yeah, we back?
Yeah, but there's a lag now.
Mima, a lag. Okay.
Oh, now the lag's gone, I think.
Oh God, the trigonometry boys heard it, and Constantine just sitting there. We're like, no.
Hacked you.
All right. Yeah, what I was going to say is, so I've never seen Francis get any like shtick in the streets or anything, but he did tell me, and I'm sure he won't mind me sharing that when he was on one of the apps, some really hot girl matched him, was like, just so you know, I think you spread right-wing hate and I hate you, and then blocked him. And that was on a dating app. So
wow.
Yeah, okay. But fingers crossed he's still back.
But then, like, a woman like that, this is the thing, like, I'm not going to say it's mostly women, but it kind of is mostly women that, you know, are all, oh my God, we simply must bring all the people from the Horn of Africa to Britain. It's so wonderful. We must care for them. And it's like, and then they'll get their head caved in and their skull used as an ashtray. And it's like, anybody who tries to stop that happening is some sort of right-wing fascist demon. It's like, I don't know, I think, you know, for centuries,
suicidal empathy Gad Sad was going on about.
Suicidal empathy, yeah. And I think it sort of goes beyond that, you know, because we've got a society where, you know, people aren't having children. If you don't have children, you don't really have a sort of stake in the future. And also you don't have an outlet for that sort of caringness, and you don't have a recognition of the threats that could come to those children. You don't think about the sort of lineage and, you know, the future of the country.
So it's almost like what I guess how you see it is the maternal instinct being sort of rewired into some kind of toxic perpendicular route where it's like, this caring is so, the drive is so there that it just gets put in all these places which might actually be not in one's own self-interest.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Yeah, that's me and Dan are working on a film at the moment.
Daniel O'Reilly, Dapper Laughs.
Yes. Have you had him
on this? No.
Yeah. Get him on. Well, if you want.
I'm scared to ask. This is just like a fun knockabout thing. What if I get proper people on?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so it's this death by compassion.
Yeah.
It's the biblical image of Eve picking up the snake and welcoming her to her breast, and then sexy.
You brought it back to the Old Testament.
I did.
Yeah.
I'm probably the first person to do that.
And also, like, people talk about, you know, and all the discussion around what Robert Jenrick says people are like, Britain is a tolerant country, and it's like, who made that decision? I'm not tolerant at all. I'm actually kind of intolerant, and I think Britain was a great country when it was a lot less tolerant. And also, what are people tolerating? If you're tolerating like stuff like the guy in Epping, the Ethiopian guy Hadush Gebrselassie Kibatu, who launched a school kid, you know, right after getting off the boat, like, what, you tolerate that? I don't tolerate that. I don't tolerate grooming gangs. There's loads of stuff I don't tolerate. So
yeah, you absolutely shouldn't tolerate heinous crime.
Yeah, how's it seen as a virtue to tolerate stuff like that?
Yeah, what is it? Being a glutton for punishment? What is the?
It's worse than that. It's because the punishment is happening to someone else.
That's true. That's true.
So like the people who are like, oh, I tolerate all this, you know, horrific stuff, they're letting other people get, you know, raped and killed and whatever, so that they can have, you know, bask in the balmy glow of virtue, because they're so kind and tolerant that they tolerate it. And yeah, I think there's a lot of stuff we shouldn't tolerate. I think if we were much stricter on the sort of, you know, what people who come to this country are allowed to do and how they're allowed to behave. Like if you don't return your supermarket trolley, if you drop litter out your car window. I drove through North London the other day, and man, I saw 2 cars drop litter out the window, and it wasn't.
What did they look like, Leo?
Yeah, it wasn't white faces. And I'm like, man, if you do that, like straight ice detention guards, like straight, like pinning you to the ground, mace in your face. And you're deported, but not to a country you want to go to, not to your home country. You're sent to a random country, like Antarctica or something.
What if you get like Hawaii and it's super lovely?
With no nice countries.
Okay.
Only nasty countries.
You're saying we should go full RoboCop, no crime allowed whatsoever? Well, I mean, we don't. was going to say we don't allow crime, and I guess in some capacities we allow so much crime.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, then I think, if people really tried, when they come to this country, they really try and they stay in line and stuff, then nobody would have there wouldn't be any anti-immigrant sentiment. There wouldn't be the grooming gangs. What do they think was going to happen? You let these guys rape these kids? Like, how do you think that's going to make people? Most people are not going to be like, oh, well, yeah, but we've got to tolerate it. We've got to be tolerant because we're a kind, tolerant people. It's like, no, this is an act of war.
It is, from what I've read of it, possibly one of the most despicable things I've seen.
Yeah.
And then why does it become such a controversial thing to bring up? It's like, surely, if this all is true and is being reported, it's coming out now correctly, and it's what happened.
Yeah.
Anyone not think this is a travesty that needs addressing? That being said, I can also see separately, I can see why, going back to the suicidal empathy thing, if your opinion is you see the best in people and you're like a positive person, you should think, well, you can't judge anybody by their group, so you let people in, and then you work out any troublemakers should then be held to account. But it seems like people aren't necessarily being held to account.
Yeah, absolutely.
As long as everyone's playing the same game, it doesn't matter where you're from or who you are, as long as you're like.
No, I think it does still matter where you're from and who you are, because somebody imagine if we have war with Russia. Like look when Ukraine went to war with Russia.
Yeah, but they're not playing the same game at that point. They have conflicting values and conflicting.
No, but so when Ukraine went to war with Russia, the immigrants in Ukraine fled the country, and it's like, well, so you want to be treated the same when it's peacetime, but then as soon as there's a threat to the actual national sovereignty, you flee. And there's all these migrant charities helping them flee. I'd have thought, surely they're the people who should be sent to the front line first, because they need to prove that they're, committed to their new home. And I know if Britain goes to war with Russia, like who's gonna
win?
Who's gonna fight for Britain? I think the problem that Britain will have is, why would you go overseas to fight Russia when there's people, and you're going to leave your wife and your children at mercy of grooming gangs? Like, that just doesn't make any sense to me. Like, if we sort out the enemy that's here, then then maybe we can look at fighting Putin. But at the moment, there's no. What's the clarion call going to be for people to go and fight? Go and defend borders that don't even exist. Go and defend borders that we can't enforce. That if you try and enforce them, we're going to call you racist.
So yes, why would you be expected to go and fight for that? So what is the solution, do you think, for the West? Just basically everyone has to pledge loyalty to Musk. I don't know what the plan is. I'm worried, Leo. I'm a bit worried. I wasn't worried, but we started speaking and I'm worried. This is like going on Twitter, but with a person. Okay. Are we going to be all right?
I think we'll be all right, but the thing is, we're gonna have to go. The West is going through a sort of a phase shift of how it approaches this whole sort of era of virtue and empathy and all that bollocks has to necessarily has to come to an end, because we are damaging ourselves. And I think a certain level of open borders and immigration is good for the country, so that British people can go and work in Japan, Japanese people can come and work in Britain, but it has to be with civilized countries, and it has to be with people who assimilate and contribute, and that I like the look of.
Has to be hot women, basically.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Problem solved. Okay. Yeah. I can agree on the hot woman policy.
Yeah, and it's interesting. A lot of people who live in Britain but aren't white, say the same thing. With this Robert Jenrick thing, the BBC interviewed a resident of Birmingham, so Mariaj Khan, who's a bloke, sounds a bit like a woman's name, but it's a bloke, said the area was a slum and he was not offended by the comments because they were true. Mr. Khan said he only saw Asian and black people, adding, "I never saw a white face around here. There were, however, white people living in the area, he said, but they tended to not be British. As for the area's appearance, he added, there was garbage everywhere with multiple people living in single houses, sometimes 3 or 4 families in one property, he claimed. Mr. Khan stated that if there was integration in the area, you would see faces of every other colour, including purple.
Mm-hmm. Wow, okay. So, yeah, that again seems to be pointing out there seems to be a standard of living here that is below what you'd hope to see in England, and it's being done. Is that due to poverty, or is that due to kind of cultural differences? Or
I think it's a bit of both, but people are always. I know people use the socio-economic thing as a sop, as a sort of an easy excuse for any bad behavior or whatever. But like I've got a mate who's Bangladeshi, and he's all the grooming. Oh, it's just because they're from poor communities. It's like, man, so where's like I don't remember like the miners in these areas. You know what I mean? The people who worked in the mills in these areas, the native guys, white guys going out and doing it. It's definitely a cultural thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, like gang rape is, that is not that's neither a cheap nor expensive pastime. That is just something that you do if you're
It tends to be the very poorest and the very richest.
And the very richest, yeah. You're either going to a dinner party or you're. Yeah. All right. Where's a middle class one?
But yeah, as if people like check their tax return at the end of the year and they're like, oh, is it only that much? I must join a grooming gang. You know what I mean? It's a nonsense.
Yeah. Are there benefits like other than the
dole?
Despicable, yeah. Okay, so what you're saying is we're not rich enough to be part of it. We're not Epstein Island crowd.
No, not yet. We've also got this talking about sort of integration and different cultural things. I wonder if I can share this. I'm going to see if I can share this screen with you.
I think freedom will be achieved when the Israelis go back to where they were born, which is probably America, Poland.
So you mean leaving the state of Israel? Is that what you mean? You don't believe in the state of Israel?
No, I don't.
You don't understand why Jewish students might feel uncomfortable by that on campus today?
No. I understand why they might feel like that, but I don't think that their feelings are valid.
And there you go. There's the problem. Imagine if that was said about anybody else. There'd be utter hell to pay.
The fact that LBC are kind of calling that thing out, though, that's a bit of a
that shows how much the thing has shifted, the Overton window. But yeah, she's like, I mean, she's obviously a woke student. That's like, I don't know what university, SOAS or something like that, judging by the headgear. But I was actually accepted to SOAS to do a master's, but I didn't do it because it was too expensive.
What were you going to do?
International Studies and Diplomacy.
Okay.
So that was before I did comedy. I might end up doing that. Like we'll see what happens. But
yeah, you've got your hijab on and you're
So she's talking about she's obviously a sort of woke student, she's pals with all the lefties, and she's talking about expelling people from Israel, expelling people who've lived there for generations and who have a historic claim to the land and a tie to the land. Because she says, oh well, they're from America. But does she understand the precedent? She's literally in Britain saying that, and she's not a native Brit. It's like, do you reckon she understands the sort of the rod she might be making for her own back, which is less than the thickness of a thumb?
Yes, yeah. I mean, there's obviously a great deal of insanity in what she was saying there. I mean, it comes down to it. I imagine through religious teaching, she doesn't like Jews. That's kind of called out what it is. Yeah. Imagine might be something to do that. If she's
by religious teaching, you mean watching the BBC and reading the Guardian?
Yes, all those Shinto Buddhism classes she's been taking. I think it's definitely a sort of an inbuilt hatred there. That's what it seems like to me, anyway. I could be wrong, of course, but and that kind of behavior, I think, would not be something that's exclusive to her. I think that'll be a common view with a lot of students there, because it's the kind of thing that's being pushed. And the thing I find so confusing, and I'm obviously not the first person to bring this out, but you have this kind of coalition between the most sort of progressive, woke anything goes types and also the most kind of fundamentalist conservative religions teaming up. Now, this is actually one of the themes that I did included in the recent script with Dan. And I sometimes, when I've written a few scenes, I'll feed it into like ChatGPT to get feedback and see what it thinks. Be like, well, maybe you should do this, or like, anyway, it's never good advice, but I get lonely writing by myself. And it said to me, one of the things it said was, oh, this is actually a really unbelievable theme. Why would these liberals team up with these religious fundamentalists? It just doesn't make any sense. And I was like, I know it doesn't. I know it doesn't. So yeah, like even the 400 IQ mega robot god couldn't work that out. But
but I mean, it happens everywhere. What do they call it? The Red Green Alliance. You got like in Iran in 1979-6, whenever it was, when they overthrew the Shah. So the socialists and the communists allied, and the student socialists allied with the Islamists to overthrow the Shah, who was the West leaning guy. I mean, obviously, it wasn't being a Shah doesn't make him a perfect leader, but they overthrew him, and then afterwards the socialists were like, okay, can we have our wonderful socialist paradise now, Islamists?
Can I guess how it ends? They're still friends. They're still friends, and it's all good. Everything's fine.
No, they got jailed and they got executed and hung from cranes. So, and now Iran's an Islamist theocracy. So yeah, it never works out well. But socialists don't, man, socialists, because they're all if they were smart and if they were capable, then they'd be successful and they wouldn't be socialists. Socialists are entirely fueled by envy and seeing what other people have and thinking, how can I get that? Because they think that wealth is a zero-sum game. But we're going to talk about that in a minute when we talk about the Green Party.
You see the Green Party, yeah. I mean, I watched that.
I grew up in the north, not far from here. I remember I used to wake up with this hopeful feeling, not like I was in a cornflakes advert or anything, but there was something in the air back then, a kind of ordinary hope. You see, there are some people in this country, when they go to sleep at night, they lay their heads on the pillows, just like us. They lie in the same darkness we do. But when they sleep, something happens. It's like the economy does a little dance for them. And when they wake up, without working a third job or doing an extra shift, they are richer, much richer. In one night's sleep, they make more than the plumber and the hairdresser could earn in an entire year. More than this whole street earns in an entire year. More than this whole beautiful neighborhood could earn in an entire year. In one night's sleep without lifting a finger. That's why it's so difficult to imagine. It's obscene. That's why we need a wealth tax.
So yeah, the Green Party, who seem to be having a bit of a resurgence at the moment under their new leader, Zach Polanski, they've put out a party political broadcast that kind of is very emotive, and because he's a hypnotist. I think he's good at reaching out to people's feelings. A bit less good on sort of structuring an economy and making sure that people don't starve to death.
No, yeah, Lee, I think you're getting confused. He's not a hypnotist. He just tells women that they're getting very sleepy and then they wake up, half an hour later. With allegedly, not even allegedly, I'm just joking. But I saw that guy, Zach Polanski, if that is his real name, which it's not apparently. But I looked at him and I just realized, wow, I didn't think Jews married their first cousins and had children. But looking at him, yes, that does happen. He does
have a strange look to him. You know what I mean? He's got like the sort of naked mole rat look. I'm worried he's behind my fridge right now chewing some wires.
How many of him do you reckon you could take in a fight? How many?
Oh man, all of them. The thing with socialists is they're incredibly weak. They're spongy. So if they were good at fighting, they'd be able to fight their way to positions of power in the corporate structure. But they can't because they're weak. But they're sort of scary, and I think it's it goes back to what we were saying about people not having a stake in society. Like they're looking at these sort of populist solutions, like the Green Party saying, "Oh, we're going to tax the billionaires." Billionaires are leaving the UK. The billionaire founder of Revolut, who's worth £15 billion, obviously a massive contributor to the exchequer, pays a lot of tax. He's leaving. He's going to UAE. So many people are leaving. There's that other. In fact, I'm just reading about it here. This one of our sort of tech startups, Synthesia, is one of our biggest tech firms. They're looking at moving to America because, you know, Britain is such a sort of anti-business environment, and the Green Party is obviously going to make it much worse. And I think people are sort of, you know, everybody's like, oh, the far right. Man, far right is people like Robert Jenrick, who are actually would probably be considered lefty by the standards
15
of
years ago.
Yeah, 15 years ago. But the Green Party are going to be picking up a lot of disaffected Labour voters, and I think they're a genuine danger.
Actually.
Oh yeah. Like I think people write off stuff like that, and he's got, the thing is, man, communists always have this sort of creepy vibe. Like he's got in the video, he's got this sort of like it's all nice and warm and let's have hope and emoting.
We're just a friendly guy. Let us.
Yeah,
we're just billionaires making money overnight with their ideas that they executed with hard work of their own. But no, what if we just take a little bit? Just fuck off. Just leave us alone. Leave us billionaires alone. I earn my
and as if it's going to stop. Wait, like, when has the communist system ever stopped at the billionaires? You know what I mean? Like, number one, there won't be any billionaires to tax. Like, they'll either leave or they'll be poor because they won't be able to make any money. But this whole thing about, because Labour talk about you know, taxing the rich, and it's like the rich are like the last people who should be taxed. If you're wealthy, like somebody like Jeff Bezos, generates a huge amount of value for people. You know, his company provides products. Every time there's a voluntary transaction like that, it generates value for people. You know, you're paying £10 because the thing that you're buying is worth £15 to you. So that £5 is the value that's generated. And billionaires keep a tiny fraction. Like, we're talking like 1-2% of the wealth that they generate. Most of it gets spent on, you know, R&D, on staffing costs, you know, on stuff like that, and paying back investors. So they're generating, you know, all these new products, all this value in the economy, all this value for people, and they're only keeping a tiny fraction. I mean, obviously that tiny fraction adds up to like 250 billion or whatever. But you know, they're doing the work that, I mean, you'd never get a government that could do that level of job creation and value creation. The government.
Look at the pandemic. They did that NHS app. That was sick.
Man, they just destroyed. During the pandemic, the government destroyed the economy. They took loads of our money to destroy the economy. It's just so like, and
that's what's happening with the ID card, right? They're going to do the same thing again.
That's never going to get off the ground, man.
I don't think so. I hope.
No. It's one of those things. There was popular support for it, but then they were like, "Oh, wait a minute, politicians want to do it." Then it's obviously a bad idea. So you know,
yeah. Well, he got 2.5 million signatures against it. Not that means anything, but it certainly shows where public opinion lies.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, and this is something that's been sort of touted by some Labour politicians as well, but they want to end private landlords. So they say, and the argument they always say landlords are exploitative or whatever. And like, I saw a woman on Twitter, she was complaining that she had to pay like £1,600 a month, and her friend has a government rent of just £500 a month. And you know, it's not fair that she has to pay so much more to a private landlord. And it's like, yeah, but the government one is subsidised by the taxpayer. So that's really unfair. That's a horrible, ridiculous system.
Well,
we need to be getting rid of the government. We need to be removing there should be nobody in government-provided accommodation. We need to absolutely remove the government from everything like that.
Full anarcho-capitalism, do you reckon?
Just capitalism.
Pure capitalism. Yeah, I mean, I guess this is my bleeding heart side. I feel like if you are, let's say you've had a really bad hand in life, or like something really bad has happened to you that isn't your choice, or you're just born completely fucking like useless, like you're the dumbest, thickest shit ever.
Yeah.
How is Darius? But I would say that I'm joking. I would say that in a civilized world, you do want the most needy, when it's not their fault, taken care of. Because there are some people who, like, let's just say you're born without any arms or legs, and you're adopted, and also you're not even a good looker. So, and there's nothing you can do. I feel like you do want to take care of the most needy, but after that, you're on your own.
Yeah, and like, yeah, what you're saying makes sense. Like, if you're in need, if you're incapable of like actually functioning as a person, and you know, if you've fallen on hard times or whatever. But the thing is, we've got people in state sponsored, state subsidized social housing. They've got nothing wrong with them. My mate Martin, so he's a graphic designer, makes like decent whack of money. You know what I mean? Like, you know, good money. I think way above the national average. Because he grew up in a council flat in Camden, he gets the option to like rent a council flat for like a peppercorn rent, and that's insane. He's making good money. He's completely able-bodied. Why would you have this sort of feudal system where you know this luxury housing in the set, and well, it might not be luxury, but you know, it's in the centre of London. Why would that be handed down?
Squatters' rights.
Yeah, like it's squatters' rights against that, and obviously everybody else is paying tax to subsidise it. It makes why are bus drivers being taxed so that this guy Martin, who makes tons of money as a graphic designer, hopefully he's going to be out of work thanks to AI. But you know, why tax bus drivers so that this guy can live in the centre of London? It makes no sense whatsoever.
Yeah, it's not fair. It's like it's a completely different standard being upheld to different people for arbitrary seeming reasons. Just make it fair in that the same rules apply to everyone, and then let them get on their way. Laissez-faire.
The fairness thing is interesting because who was I talking to? Benjamin Butterballs. I was talking to him about you know, he was saying you know, we need to have higher tax and redistribute the wealth more because that's fair. And I'm like, he says it's fair. He says it's fair because then everybody's got a more equal amount. But I'm like, no, that's unfair. If I've worked hard for money, like why should I be forced to hand it over? That's unfair. So fairness seems to be a very sort of arbitrary thing. And you know, for me, what's fair is like, you know, the individual property being protected, the rights of the individual. For other people, it's like everybody getting the exact same outcome in life, regardless of how much effort they put in, which seems ridiculous.
Equity is that it's essentially anti-human because not everyone has the same capacity for work and effort and success and brain power, and like you're not like in every single kind of industry or form of competition, whatever. People are disposed to be better at different things, and that is just the nature of it. And if you don't have competitiveness, you don't have any kind of progress or anything like that. Whereas, it just doesn't make sense. It's fundamentally anti-human. That just let your children be wild and free, and just as long as the same rules apply to everyone, like the same laws. Let them have it.
Yeah, although I mean the way things work in like the Gulf, because everybody holds up the Gulf as well. Did you know that Dubai and the United Arab Emirates actually have very high levels of immigration? It's like, yeah, but the natives get absolutely preferential treatment, and you know, if you mess up in Dubai, you're out. You know, even if you lose your job, you got like 3 months to get a new job. Or you're out. So you know, there's none of this like free hotels and getting wanked off by all these charities.
But also, there's no tax as well, isn't there?
Yeah, there's no tax. There's no income tax. There's probably taxes on other stuff. Also, man, the tax in this country. So, like, there's a Scottish oil company called Harbour Energy, and it does amazing work. It gets this oil that people have just left under the ground. It's, you know, where it's essentially polluting these oil wells.
Idiots.
And they dig it out for free, and you know, and they arrange to distribute it around the world where it can be burnt off harmlessly. And this is a self-sustaining business that they've got. Makes a lot of money. Last year they had $1 billion profit, but after tax, because of all the windfall taxes and all these other taxes that the government puts on, that $1 billion profit went down to like, I think it was like a $200 million loss. So a loss. Like they paid an effective tax rate of 108%. So they're like, there's no, and they had to lay off 250 workers. You know, this is
really works. So what incentive is them to do any of that if you pay for the privilege? I mean, obviously, I assume their expenses would have covered significant payments for they have to lay off their staff.
Yeah, they had to lay off 250 staff. They're still paying a decent dividend. I've got some shares in them, and you know, that's mostly why I'm so angry about it.
You guys watching? Leo is my shares advisor. He always gives me good advice, and then I've just bought quite a lot of GameStop today, actually. I've got a good feeling about that.
Yeah. Okay. Talking about taxpayer money being lavished on migrants, there was a revelation. Classic Daily Mail headline: taxpayer-funded charity paid for 70 migrants to go to the seaside for a day out to help them get over the trauma of coming to the UK by small boat.
Can you imagine the whole way there? They're thinking they're not going to put us back on a boat.
Yeah.
Imagine like a sting operation, just to like. Yeah, guys, get on. We're getting over the trauma. Push it. That'd be a trick. That'd be subterfuge. Yeah, I mean, I obviously, as individuals, I don't want them to be traumatized. I don't necessarily think that's good use of taxpayers' money.
I think that's the only good use of taxpayers' money.
Should just be that.
Yeah, and also it'd fit in. We could tie it in with Halloween. We could, get some sort of jump scares going.
Some kind of like escape room. You've got to be
like somebody jumps out like dressed like Nigel Farage and it's like, surprise, there's been an election. That'd
be scary for Starmer. That's some good political commentary from me there. Yeah, I mean, that just seems like, look, I like a nice outing to the beach as much as anyone. But yeah, it just seems a bit, in some ways, incendiary. It's like, okay, well, these people have come here not through, I guess, the correct means. I guess illegally, you might say.
Yeah.
And
I would say that.
Yeah, and then they are being.
I'd stress that it's illegally.
Yeah, God, can't we all just get along?
Yeah, well, maybe we could. I think we'd get along fine if we were getting on fine over Zoom and they were in the Horn of Africa. And Lenny Henry.
Should we get weapons? Do you reckon it's all going to, like, do you reckon in like 10 years' time it's going to be civil war on the streets and we're all going to be Mad Maxing our way around?
Oh man, at some point, a multicultural society will necessarily break down. And like if you go to a prison, all the gangs are organized along ethnic lines. You know what I mean? It's
where am I getting
it? And you get to choose.
Yeah,
you get to choose.
The weekends with whiteys and weekdays with the non-whiteys. Okay, I'm into it.
So, and I think we're entering a period of high stress for countries, for Western countries, especially in Europe. Because if you look at how like we got that story about the German factory. The German factory output has slumped to 2005 levels. So all the economic growth, all the growth in industrial engineering and manufacturing has fallen. It's just fallen consistently over the last like maybe 5 years, since like a year or so before lockdown. It's just solidly slumped because the energy costs are so high, but also because the whole economy is being taxed and managed into the ground, and it's been overtaken by China.
That isn't a move to tertiary industries and service industries. That's just those industries being shut down essentially.
Yeah, so, and Germany always had it wasn't like Britain that is sort of more service based. Like Germany was always like a good mechanical manufacturing base. In Britain we do have a surprising amount as well. Like people think of us as just a sort of service economy, but we do have quite a lot, especially the sort of high value stuff, and also pharmaceuticals and what do they call it? Something sciences, I can't remember, but like the
women sciences.
Yeah,
I heard someone say that anything with the science at the end of it isn't the real science.
Yeah, what is it, like health sciences? No, there's life sciences, I can't remember. But yeah, like Germany, and there is a bit of a historical precedent in Germany for things to go sideways quite badly if there's
name 2 times.
If there's economic, and man, the mad thing is we've sort of got the same situation as the 1920s, 1930s Germany.
That insane sentiment is rife on our streets, and they're calling it like love marches and stuff. One of my friends, like a fellow Jew, one of my friends was talking about, oh, do you want to go to this anti-racism march? I was like, dude, wear your fucking Magen David there, wear it. That's like the Star of David thing. And I was like, see what happens. See what happens at that march. Like, my best friend, but fucking Mong, and I love him. But, yeah, fucking prick. I love him so much, but that upset me. He's a good guy.
But yeah, they do that on the left. They do that. It's like an anti-racism march, or this is for fairness, or this is for equality. This is for inclusion. We've got to, and it's always the opposite.
Republic of North Korea. It's democratic, guys.
yeah.
Come on, it's fucking democratic.
It's always the absolute opposite of what they say. But yeah, in Germany and across Europe, in Britain as well, like, you know, we've got unsustainable public spending. So the public spending, at some point, there's going to be a crunch in the bond markets, and the country's going to absolutely have to rip down that spending just really alarmingly quickly. And also the economy's kind of pretty ropey. We've got social degeneracy with, you know, the pornographication of society and OnlyFans and all that sort of stuff. You know, transgender clowns going into schools.
I couldn't even get my passport to work when I was trying to upload it to Pornhub. It wouldn't even do it. It's fucking brutal.
That's because you used your own passport. You've got to use a fake one you download off the internet. But we've got the perfect storm brewing for a return to, you know, when you've got a situation like that, when the economic catastrophe hits, as well as the sort of multicultural, you know, ethnic and social turmoil, when those all hit together, man, things go sideways very quickly. So, yeah. So yeah, in 10 years time, I think we are gonna, you know, never mind Britain being this, like, you know, lovely garden where everybody's like free and tolerant. No, we're gonna be taking. You've seen those pictures of people in Rhodesia taking their kids to school with Uzis. We're gonna be like that.
But I mean, you're not even allowed any weapons. I was speaking to ChatGPT about this. You're not allowed any self-defense weapons. Anything that you. So you're allowed a rape alarm. And I think you're allowed certain dog spray, which it just confuses your senses. It's not even painful, but you're only allowed to use it for dogs. So I was trying to get ChatGPT design, because you're not allowed a knuckle duster. Because I always thought it'd be cool to be a knuckle duster guy. I mean, I've only been in 2 fights in my life, and most of them are with my weight. Yeah, one time I won, one time I didn't. But I was 17. I kind of got jumped by 3 like sort of, I want to say swamp people. This was in Reading,
right?
Like, yeah, it's quite fun. But I was like, yeah, crusty. But what I found was getting punched in the face. It's all right. It's like,
that's the funny thing. That's when I did boxing. All of a sudden, I became much more confident in any sort of physical confrontation, because you get punched in the face and it's like, oh wait, what's all the fuss about? This is fine. Yeah.
Actually, I mean, it probably depends on who's doing it.
Yeah. I think if you're able to stand there and be like, oh wait, this is fine, then, you know, then you've been punched by the right person. I think if Mike Tyson punches you, then you're not going to be standing there being like, oh wait, what's all the fuss about?
No, I don't want to sound ridiculous, but I think I'd have him. What?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, you're not allowed any weapons. I was chatting to ChatGPT about this. You're allowed a slingshot in your home.
A sling? What is it? What, in case a biblical character invades your home? Like,
it's Dennis the Menace once they straight out.
So, but like, you're allowed a rape alarm and a slingshot. So you know, if you get raped or if you have to take on Goliath, then you're covered. But like, what if it's somebody who doesn't rape you and, you know, isn't in the Book of Revelations?
Yeah, then you're on your own. You're gonna have to use these 2 lethal weapons.
What other weapons can you? What weapons would you advise?
I was looking up a tactical pen because my friend, who I won't mention, has one. So they're not allowed to be carried on the streets with the intent to harm, but you are allowed from home. Yeah.
What if it's with the intent to do a crossword?
Right. So then that's okay. That's okay. Yeah. So you're not allowed to use it if there's It's all this, like, you're completely defenseless other than my acerbic wit, which I think might do some damage. But assuming they could understand me. But yeah, I don't know. It's we're on our own. Like, I would want partners, like, you know, if you've got your lady walking about, you want them protected. I think I'm glad that we don't have guns in this country, but also there might come a moment where I wish oh God, it wouldn't have been useful if we could fight the tyranny of our own government. But
yeah. Well, I don't think the grooming gangs would have persevered as long as they have. If dads in Rotherham had AK-47s, I think that would have been.
Do you think do you think the dads knew it? Well, not to get back at Tinder, but I thought it was happening without people knowing. Or
I mean, like, a lot of the victims were in care homes, so, you know, they're being looked after by the state, so, you know, they didn't have parents, or didn't have, you know, functional parents to look out for them.
So they were in state-run care homes, essentially.
Yeah. Which again, shows the Green Party. All these lefties are like, oh my god, the state. Why do we have private landlords? Oh, when the state can provide. Look what happens when the state provides stuff. It's always a disaster because, with a private landlord, you've got a voluntary agreement that you've both got sides of the contract that you fulfill, and you want them. You're going to push them to fulfill, and everybody's got an incentive. With the state, there's no incentive to do a decent job.
Oh, God, what should we do? Privatize everything?
There's probably, the thing is when stuff gets privatized, it's basically, I worked in management consulting for in the public sector, and a lot of stuff gets privatized, but it's still just run by the state. It's like the state's paying for it. It's just, so you've just got this a slightly different financial structuring. It's basically the same thing. Talking of finances, this is we'll wrap up pretty soon, but this is Sir Lenny Henry, probably my favourite Sir, apart from Sir Jimmy. But Sir Lenny Henry says that all black British people should be paid slavery reparations. He's got this book that supports the case for the UK to hand over £18 trillion in compensatory payments. I was like, man, no, I don't think so, Mr. Lenny Henry.
18. So what's our GDP? 3 trillion?
Something like that. Yeah.
And to every, so when he says every black Briton, that could be from any country, have come over at any time. So not even people who have been descendant from slavery.
I think it's mostly to the Caribbean. I haven't read his book. I don't think I will. I'll maybe flick through and look at the pictures. But it's mostly to the Caribbean. But you know what's sickening about this is that British people, white Brits, paid to end slavery, and the bonds that they paid for the ending of slavery, because people had to be compensated and stuff to actually end it. And the Navy had to be paid to go around fighting the slave ships and stuff to get them to stop, and lots of British soldiers lost their lives ending it. So that money that paid for slavery to end, like way back in the day, the bonds were only just paid off in, I think it was 2015.
2015. Oh wow! And this is what? How many hundreds of years ago was it abolished?
Loads.
Yeah.
No idea. 200.
Okay. What do I think about that? So if we're talking generations and generations ago, but you could almost every single group has had been at some point like obliterated. Like, I don't want to make the obvious comparison, but like, okay, let's look at Jews in Europe in World War II. Like, no one's asking, are we asking for reparations? I've not heard about that. Is that are we doing that?
Well,
like,
I think Germany did.
Did they pay?
I think so.
Okay.
100%.
How long afterwards?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, I guess, do you have a cutoff point? Because at what point, and also who's paying who? Because it's not the people who did the thing. In Germany, you've got to assume it was the people who did the thing. Here it's multiple generations. No one in the UK, hopefully, has ever owned a slave, which is
some people in the UK have owned slaves, but they tend not to be.
I have no slightly different. But
they're not like British people, if you know what I mean. They're people from other cultures.
Slavery is happening around the world right now. Am I mistaken? In quite a lot of the Arabic countries. Oh
yeah, 100%.
Which is despicable. This is completely evil and despicable.
Yeah, especially when we don't get to enjoy the conveniences. No, I mean, like, it's like slavery, but slavery was one of those things that actually held back like economic progress and development, because like in the north of America, because they didn't have slavery, they invested in productivity and technological progress, and looms to do things or machines to pick things. Whereas if you've got an economy dependent on slavery, like, what are you going to do? Give them like cans of Red Bull? Like, you're not going to be like, you can maybe get like a little bit, an incremental gain in productivity, but you can't get that, big increase in productivity you get when you get a machine to do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's bad for every reason, economically and morally, and but I guess the point here with what Lenny Henry's saying is that people who aren't responsible for something should be paying people who it didn't happen to.
Yeah, that idea of like collective punishment. I'm sure
there's a more nuanced argument than that, but just up top, that kind of seems a bit insane.
Oh yeah, and it's this idea of collective punishment. Like if you belong to this ethnic group, then you're responsible for the things that happened 100 years ago that were done by that ethnic group. And if you're in this other ethnic group, then you should get money because of things that happened to that ethnic group like hundreds of years ago. It's like, oh well, if we're going to separate people along ethnic lines like that, I mean that sounds like quite a messed up. That's
yes, it's not something you want to introduce at all. And I guess also, again, I'm speaking out of school here, but weren't there a lot of people from these countries, native to these countries, where slaves were sold from, who captured people and then sold them?
Yeah,
to Europeans who are
we did
very responsible for that as well.
Yeah, there's this idea that, Britain just went over to Africa and started rounding people up. It's like, no, we went over to Africa where there was a thriving slave trade and quite often, an incredibly cruel slave trade. And we were just like, okay, we'll buy some of them. And, here's some whatever. It became this sort of circular route with like what was it? Like sugar and cotton came back to the UK. And then we took stuff down to Africa, and then we took slaves to the colonies. So yeah,
no good.
No. Yeah, so no Lenny Henry, Henry. We won't be paying that. And also, if Lenny Henry, this is the thing that, if Lenny Henry wants to advocate for Caribbean countries, then we get all this stuff about he's just as British as any British person. He's advocating for other countries instead of advocating for Britain. So how British is British? You know what I mean? Like, this really makes a good case. A lot of people would say this makes a good case for, that civic nationalism is in fact a sham, and, people don't become as British as a native Brit after, even being born.
So there's like I guess in-group preference over, I guess, shared. I just want people to be playing the same game.
A dual loyalty. Yeah. Okay, well, that's a cheery thing to
let's end on something nice.
What should we end on? Have you got any? Have you seen anything funny? Anything funny and nice?
I've been enjoying Sora 2 stuff. Have you seen the Michael Jackson chicken theft?
So this is a AI video generating app. Cool.
Oh, let me see if I can just find it. We'll cut through this. Sora, Michael Jackson fried chicken theft.
This sounds racist.
No, it's not racist.
Oh, that's
your chicken's looking nice, pal.
Woo! Yo, he stole my chicken!
Got a crispy treasure, can't slow me down. Hot and golden, I'm out of this town. Move, Friday, victory.
Well, get back here.
Run, spin, slide, I'm gliding out the door. Fried love in my arms, can't give it up no more. Hey!
Great! That's made in artificial intelligence.
Yeah, within about 20 seconds. We are living in the age of miracles and wonder. That's
mental.
So it's just come out recently.
And we're going to hopefully make some like comedy skits using AI. I can't believe I said the word skit. I only ever see the word skit used by somebody who never goes to comedy who says, I enjoyed your skit. We're going to use artificial intelligence to make some comedy. So we're going to do that. Going to put it on Instagram and stuff. Because Elon Musk has said that using the Grok one, I can't remember what it's called, but he's saying we're going to have full feature-length movies by next year, and it's going to look amazing. And the stuff does look amazing, and also it's going to open up, like, because I've been working on this film about grooming gangs, like a comedy musical about the grooming gangs, and
musical or a
no, it's not a comedy or a musical, but like, it's not the sort of thing. I can't take it to like the Arts Council and be like, can you help me fund this film? Like, because they're gonna be like, no, we're just giving this money to fat people who hate Britain, and Kneecap. They gave £2 million to Kneecap to make a film about how much Kneecap hates Britain, and it's absolute nonsense. But with AI, we could make that film.
Okay. The Michael Jackson busts the grooming gangs. All right.
It's a thriller.
Shimon.
Yeah. Well, Jonathan, thanks so much for sitting down and talking to me. And have you
Thank
got
you.
like socials or anything you want to direct people
Yeah,
towards?
you can follow me on Instagram at Jonathan Kogan Comedy, or on Twitter at the Kogi11. Probably need to change
Kogi11.
that. But yeah, and just edit out anything where I look like a complete retard, because I'm sure there's a few moments. And yeah, thank you for having me. It's been great fun.
Well,
I look forward to seeing you in the street in 10 years.
It's been a great 5-minute podcast.
Yeah.
It's a little joke about editing out the bits where... Anyway, yeah, speak to you soon, man. Cheerio. Bye.